In today's episode of Missing, we speak with return guest Melissa Sandberg of the podcast Dog with a Bone. In our first interview with Melissa, she told us about season 1 of Dog with a Bone, which focused on the unsolved murder of John Bernie Burnside from Marysville, Ohio in 1999. Well, she is back with a new season, and this season focuses on the unsolved homicide of 8-year-old Mackenzie Taylor Branham from Jeffersonville, Ohio in April of 1996. This is an unimaginably tragic case, and this conversation is very disturbing. So I want to warn everyone up front. This conversation deals with child abuse and child homicide. Melissa's doing a great job with her podcast. Check it out. She's got a very active Facebook group. There are links in the show notes to follow her podcast and to get involved. Please follow us on social media at Missing CSM. Let us know what you think on Spotify or YouTube. Thanks a lot for listening. We're going to break quick for commercial here, and we'll be right back with Melissa Sandberg. Welcome back to the podcast. It's Melissa Sandberg. Melissa, how are you today?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
Well, you're on, so we're doing really well. It's been far too long since you've made an appearance on this show.
Yes. It's been a while. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, glad to have you back. Every time you join us, you always bring this incredible story and this incredible energy and passion for advocating for victims, for people, their families, survivors, people who need a voice. But before we get into all of that, can you introduce yourself to the audience, a little bit about your background?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Melissa Sandberg. I am the host and producer of the podcast Dog with a Bone. So this is my second season, and I'm a civil investigator is what I call myself. I am just a normal person who does this in her spare time of helping bring justice to unsolved homicide cases.
And where'd this passion from you come from?
I've always just wanted to be a homicide detective since I was little. And so, reading all the John Douglas books and went to school to be a homicide detective, but you had to be a cop, and I didn't want to do that. So I became a social worker. But I never lost my passion for working or helping victims.
Yeah, and I think, and just, feel free to disagree with me or not, I think that you're better equipped being a social worker and doing this work as opposed to being a homicide detective and doing this work, because I feel like you probably would get too entrenched in the work if you're doing it day to day as your job. Do you feel the same way, that this has better equipped you?
Yes, I do. Well, I would have to follow the rules, and I don't want to be a rule follower. So
True.
I'd prefer to not have rules, and I can just go knock on doors, and I don't need search warrants, and, I don't have to follow the standard rules. I can just be me, and that works for me.
Very cool. Well, tell us a bit about your show.
So Dog with a Bone is a podcast that I created to work per season one case. And so my first case was out of Marysville, Ohio. It was a case of Bernie Burnside. And that season has done very well. And by that, I mean, real things are happening. So I was able to get the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations involved in Bernie's case. And they still are reviewing the case, which means it's on an agent's list of cases. And she is actively reviewing it. So she still has the case. And I tell everyone that this is really important because she's had it now for about a year. And it's important because she hasn't given it back. So that tells us that, right, she is still reviewing, she's still gathering information. If she thought she couldn't do anything with it, she would have to turn it back to Marysville. But the fact is that she has not, which says a lot, really, because she has to obviously go to her bosses, and they'll say, why is this case still on your desk after a year and a half, right? Or she has to be able to explain that. And that tells me that we are in a really good spot right now with Bernie's case.
That's excellent. And you starting a podcast and deciding to do it season to season and case by case is a new season. When did you decide, or was there a moment that came up where you said, I can't take the storytelling part of this any further, and now I have to put together new material for season 2? But you're obviously going to revisit the story from season 1. Was there a moment where you were like, this is as far as I can take it?
Yeah, I think once I wrapped up all the interviews with Bernie's case and got as far as I could and brought in a lot of new information that they didn't have before, people weren't afraid to talk anymore. Once I don't want to just produce episodes to produce episodes. That doesn't help anything. So once I realized I was at that point where I had to wrap it up for the podcast part, but that it was still going to be ongoing, is when I decided, okay, that's where it ends. Right now in season 2, I am nowhere near wrapping it up, and I am at episode 10, where I ended. Bernie's is at 10. I don't have an end date right now. Is that much is happening in season 2?
So you've got no plan for the amount of episodes, whatever it takes to get the story out.
Correct. Yeah. Right. And that's like, I don't want to repeat information. I don't want to just, hey, I have nothing really to say, but I'm just going to do it. That doesn't help people. That's not the purpose of the podcast. It's to bring information, bring new leads, information, and help move things along. So when that ends is when I need to wrap it up.
Okay. Can you tell us how the current story came into your world and when you decided that this one was going to be the one that would be the focus of season 2?
Guys, I'm telling you, this one is a heartbreaker. I mean, they all are, right? But this season is regarding an 8-year-old. Her name's Mackenzie Branham, and she is from Ohio. Again, another Ohio case. So when I wrapped up Bernie's season, I had asked for submissions for season 2. So I got, submissions from Louisiana, like all over the country, right? All the different states. And someone reached out to me and said, hey, I don't know if you're interested in this, but here's this case on Mackenzie. And I was like, oh, do I want to do another Ohio case? Because I was going to go to a different state, right? Like, let me go somewhere else, maybe someone warmer, not as far, because I live in Florida. And once I read and saw Mackenzie's face, there was no going back and there was no turning around at that point. Mackenzie was 8 years old and she was murdered in April of 2006, and she was sexually assaulted. So she was murdered. She was left in her bedroom. Laying on her bed is where she was found, and someone set the house on fire. Mom and boyfriend survived. And once I read all of that, there was someone needs to be a voice and get this out to the masses.
Now, was there evidence of sexual assault prior to her ultimate death?
Yes, so there is a lot of court documents, and Children Family Services had been involved. The dad has done amazing work, Donald Brenham. He's been fighting for justice for his baby girl for 19 years as a dad, trying to bring justice. There is documents showing Mackenzie voicing to counselors, voicing to people what was going on. She had constant UTIs, wetting the bed, yeast infections at 8 years old. Just released a document yesterday that the boyfriend made her give him kisses to get clothes.
What, clothes? Like clothing? To
Dressing.
So he would make her kiss him and he would give her like a pair of pants or something?
Clothes. Yes. Then he would punish her, beat her for peeing the bed, becoming wet. He would drag her to her room, throw her in a room, and they had a lock on the outside of her door, and he would lock her in there. Just horrific abuse that this man, and this isn't his first incident of child abuse.
Okay, explain the dynamics in Mackenzie's life, if you don't mind. Who was she living with? Were her parents in the picture? What is the story here?
Yeah, of course. So Mackenzie, she was 8 years old. Her dad had fought for custody based on the multiple incidences that happened in the home with her mom and the mom's boyfriend, whose name is Kenny. So dad finally won custody. He had to go to court several times and tried to fight for his kids. He got custody of all 3 of them, which is, I review, is very difficult for a dad in Ohio in 2006. to get or 2004 he got custody of all three kids. I mean, normally it always goes to the mom. It's very rare. He won all three kids. That's how severe and what was going on in this house. What ended up happening is Mackenzie, she was 8 years old, and right after the Christmas break, her mom had called and said, "Hey, I'm kicking Kenny out. I want you to come stay with me. It'll be a girls' time. We'll have girl time, and he won't be here." And Mackenzie, wanting her mom's affection, wanting that finally mom's going to pay attention to me, she wanted to go. And her dad, Donald, at that point was kind of, what do you do? Tell your daughter no? Like, he was struggling with that. Does she resent him? Kenny's leaving. Mackenzie just wants her mom's love. And so he said, okay, like he went and signed papers and said, yeah, you can go there after Christmas break. So she moved in January and she was murdered in April. And Kenny never left. I mean, he never was gone.
That I can't even, I don't even have words to describe how that must have affected her biological father, because all he's trying to do, according to what I'm hearing from you, is just maintain a good relationship with everybody so that Mackenzie doesn't have to witness the parents fighting and grow up in a hostile environment. So he's just trying to do the best to keep everything healthy for her.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Donald lives with this for 19 years. I mean, what if I would have said no? What if I would have said no? She would still be here. And, he said, my daughter never made bad choices. I mean, she always made good choices. And when you have a mother who finally is paying you attention, Donald was like, okay, she still went to Donald's house, her dad's house every other weekend. So he's like still involved. But yeah, it's one of the very heartbreaking stories is that he lives with this every day of, people question, well, why did you and why didn't? And he's like, you're not in the situation. Like, what am I supposed to do? Tell my daughter no? And it's not for us to play quarterback on. He lives with it.
Right. So does Mackenzie, does she have siblings?
She does. So she has two brothers. They're both younger. So, and so they have always stayed with their dad. They did not go with Marianne when Mackenzie went. But Marianne did call that day of the fire and ask for the boys to come spend the night. And she's never done that.
I want to get into that in a minute. Tell me a little bit more about
Sorry.
Marianne. No, that's okay. What is her deal? Like, why is she such a risk to have the children?
Marianne has done a lot of things. She just hasn't protected her kids. I mean, so for example, Donald tells us a story that Harrison, one of the siblings, he was an infant, maybe 5 months old. Mackenzie was 1 year old, and the stepsister, Jennifer, might have been 5. So Donald had caught Marianne cheating, and so she left with this boyfriend and they went to a bar. Donald went to work. Marianne took, and this is how he got custody. She took these 3 young kids to a hotel, left them in the hotel by themselves. So you have a 5 month, a 1 year old, and a 5 year old. She went across the street with this boy to a bar, was making out, drinking, and Donald got a call from somebody that said, "Hey, you might want to get to this hotel. Your kids are here in this hotel, like by themselves." Donald runs and goes. He opens the door, and the 5 year old is feeding the infant chicken McNuggets and French fries that Marianne left for her to feed the infant. He could have choked. You don't feed infants chicken nuggets and French fries. Mackenzie was just laying on the bed, no adult supervision, and she's at the bar, drinking and hanging out with her boy. So after that, both kids got really sick. Donald took them to the hospital and they had pneumonia. I mean, they were very, very sick. And I don't know if he got aspiration, right? Like, she's feeding a 5 year old, she's feeding him fries that were in the bassinet. I mean, he was in a bassinet.
My God. Who called Donald?
Just somebody, small town who saw Marianne at the Waffle House and the bar, and he at the hotel, and they said, "Hey, you better come over here. There's no kids in here, or no adults."
Jesus.
Sorry. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the area? This is Jacksonville, Ohio.
Jeffersonville, Ohio.
Jeffersonville.
Yeah, it is a very, very small town. They don't even have their own police department. It's a very low income. It's an area that there's not, they have high poverty, high needs, if that makes sense. It's just a really small Ohio town.
And all three of the children were Donald's.
So two of them for sure. One of them, she came to Donald and said, after this incident, "Oh, I'm pregnant." And so he was like, "Okay." So he ended up, raising, having this boy. And then Marianne took him to court and said, "Well, he's not yours," and wanted a blood test. And Donald said, "Nope, not going to give it. He's my son. I raised him. He's mine. Not going to do it." And she never attempted to, fight it again. So I mean, he doesn't look like the rest of them, but to Donald, he's like, "I don't care. I raised him. He's my boy, and I'm just leaving it at that." So, she did cheat. She did party. She did. Just she wasn't a mother. She wasn't looking out for her kids. She had no interest.
Can you fill us in a little bit on Mackenzie's personality? What was she like?
She was a spitfire. Everything I've heard about her is just she she grew up way too young. I'll say that too. So she helped raise the boys too. Donald, when he was single, right, moved away from Marianne. Mackenzie took on the mother role, getting the boys ready for school and dressed and fed, and just at a young age. But personality wise, she loved school. She loved church. She was very, very spiritual. She every night said her Lord's Prayer before going to bed, which is heartbreaking. And that's the prayer that's on her grave, because she would say that every night before she went to bed. And if you listen to that prayer, it's about protecting you and waking in the morning light. And she, was set afire. Yeah, she was a very spiritual young girl which is very rare at that age. She had Bibles everywhere. She had angels. And I think she was just looking for protection and just trying to think about things better. Um, but she loved to dance. She loved singing. Everyone just a fun girl who just had a lot of personality.
And is this information that you've received from Donald? Is this his description of her?
Yeah, and I talked to her best
Uh-huh.
friends. I talked to people at her school, people in the community, right? Because it's small town, like they know her, and she was in fire safety prevention classes, so she would have known how to escape a fire. She knew what to do. She knew certain things, and people just have nothing but great things to say about her. I mean, she was just a good kid.
Do you think she was ever threatened to be burned?
She was threatened not to tell Donald things because Kenny would threaten her. "I'm going to tell your dad. I'm going to beat up your dad. If you say anything to your dad, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." So Mackenzie often protected Donald because she knew Donald would go after Kenny. And so I think she stopped telling her dad stuff to protect her dad, and protect her brothers at a certain point, because she was telling people what was happening and nothing was being done. So yeah, I mean, I think that she was threatened a lot about, "If you do this, then this is going to happen."
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsor.
And a thank you to our sponsors. Back to the program. Yeah, you had mentioned that she was taking fire prevention and fire safety courses. I wasn't sure if she did that voluntarily or if that was something that was part of a curriculum, and it made me think maybe they had threatened to burn her.
Oh, yeah. No, so her dad again took her to these classes, wanted her
Gotcha.
to be safe. Hey, go learn how to escape a fire, go learn how to do all that. And I talked to the chief fire marshal who, had her in his class, and he, she knew, she knew. And she had two windows she could have escaped if she would have broke through, because Kenny actually nailed them shut. So she couldn't have just opened up the windows. He nailed them shut, which again is a huge fire prevention and neglect issue. But
Okay, so you're saying Kenny, the mom's boyfriend, nailed the windows in her bedroom shut,
yes, yes.
and then the house was lit on fire?
Yeah, I don't know when they were shut versus the fire.
Yeah.
He got mad because they were opening the windows and there was a pole outside of Mackenzie's room. So being kids, they would open it and jump onto the pole and go down. So once he heard about that, he nailed all of her, or nailed her windows shut. And then He also had a lock on the outside of her door because that's how he would lock her in when he was punishing
Her
her.
bedroom?
Hmm.
Was she abused from pretty much like when she was born? I mean, what is the scope of the abuse inflicted on her?
It started with Kenny. So when Kenny came into the life is when things just went sideways. Marianne's own family has extensive abuse as well. So, um, I mean, they're involved as well in this. Her brothers are, besides Kenny. So, it's just a circle of these individuals here.
You said they're involved. They're involved as far as what?
So both of her brothers, Marianne's brothers, were there that night of the fire. Both of them have history of sexual and physical abuse. One of the brothers that was there that night of the fire moved the truck. Again, why are you moving a truck? You're there at the fire, but no one saw him at the fire. He wasn't there. He wasn't trying to help get Mackenzie out. Marianne doesn't mention he was there, but he sexually abused Mackenzie and the boys, and he was physically violent with them. So he failed the lie detector twice about the fire. He needed a court order to get the DNA, and he's hung up on me. He doesn't want to talk, and he's kind of in hiding right now because he knows what's going on right now.
So Marianne's, I just want to get this straight in my head. Marianne's two brothers are documented sexual abusers.
Yes.
Who did they initially abuse to have those charges stick?
One of them, Jamie, who puts himself there that night as well, has his own daughter, is one of them, 5 years old. Abused her. He's lost custody of another child. William, the one that was there moving the truck again that night, he has the three boys. Harrison, the brother, talks to me about him making them suck his, chest and do all these things. Um, Pretty extensive.
And Marianne invited them over to her home with Kenny, and
They all live right together. Mhm.
oh, okay,
Like right down the block.
and abuse happened that night.
Oh, I'm guaranteed. I mean, she had semen in 3 places.
The same,
We don't know.
right? Why is moving the truck so important?
Because somebody had time or decided, hey, we're going to start this fire. They decided to move the truck, right? Marianne and Kenny say they escaped for their lives, that they got out of this house fire and they tried to rescue Mackenzie, which they did not. But someone moved the truck. And so people were wondering, were they coming? Were they going? What was going on? Why would you think I need to move my truck? That's the last thing. Your daughter's up there burning. You escape and you're going to be like, oh, let me move my truck. It turned out the next day, Kenny let it slip that William mentioned to a neighbor that he was the one that moved the truck. So that puts him there at the time the fire started.
Oh, I see. So the truck was moved, and they had to explain why the truck was moved, and Kenny let it slip that it wasn't them.
Right, because the doors
Gotcha.
were open.
I gotcha.
The doors were open, the truck was running, and there was cell phone on the seat. Yet Marianne didn't call 911 using any of those things. She walked to neighbor to neighbor to neighbor and asking them to call 911. And mind you, the fire department was right down the street. She could have ran there and been there in 30 seconds or less and picked up their phone. But she walked house to house to house, knocking, asking for them to call. There's a cell phone on the truck seat.
She's hoping her kid gets burnt to death in there?
I think they wanted the evidence destroyed. Yeah. And the evidence is Mackenzie. I mean, she did nothing. She walked. And when one of the neighbors said she showed up and asked for a pair of shoes, mind you, her house is on fire and she's asking for shoes.
So it's unreasonable to assume that she was not aware of the abuse that was happening with her
No,
kids.
she knew. No, she very much knew. I mean, Kenny would beat them for getting or punish Mackenzie for wanting to get something to drink. The boys would go get something to drink. Mackenzie would go, and then he would punish her because she didn't ask or he didn't want her to. Another instant he would do to the kids is hang them up on hooks by their belt buckle, by their belt loops for hours on the coat hangers that you have. Hang them up on their by their pant loops, and then for hours that one of the kids fell because their loop broke because they were hanging for so long. And I asked, what was Marianne doing? What was your mom doing? Sitting on the computer.
Okay, so she wasn't too interested in protecting her kids. When did the relationship between Mackenzie's parents end? Like, how old were the kids?
So it was probably, they divorced in 2004. So Mackenzie was murdered in 2006. So Mackenzie, like I said, right after the hotel incident, Mackenzie, um, was 1 years old. So it was right after that it was an ongoing battle at that point.
You just mentioned that the fire department was like 30 seconds away if she had walked there. How do you know this? Did
Yeah.
you happen to walk that distance?
I did. Yeah. I mean, I walked, I walked it, I ran it. Your adrenaline's pumping. I mean, you can be out on the front of the street in front of her house, turn, and the fire department's right there. I mean, it has a phone on the outside of the building at that time. All you have to do is pick it up and it calls 911. That's all she had to do. But she didn't.
And how extensive was the damage to the house after the fire department put out the fire?
The whole front that's where it was started. So the splash pattern started in the foyer area and went straight up the stairs. So it was a lot of the front damage. And mind you, when the fire department showed up, Marianne didn't tell them Mackenzie was in the house. They didn't know for the first 10 minutes that there was a child in the house. So they're fighting the fire, thinking it's a structure fire. Everybody got out. There's Marianne, there's Kenny, there's the dog. And then all of a sudden, they find out Mackenzie is back there. Then the firemen have to pivot to, oh my God, we have a child up there. So then they went into rescue mode and went and got her.
Who was the one that said that there was a child there? Did Marianne finally say, my daughter's in there?
Once she called the dad, so she was sitting in a neighbor's house, and then called and said, there's a fire and Mackenzie's inside. And the dad starts yelling and screaming at her, like, go get my baby. Why are you on the phone with me? Like, what are you doing? And that's when people were finding out that she was in there.
Was her cause of death asphyxiation because of the smoke, or do you think was she killed prior?
No, she was alive at the time of the fire. She had 68% carbon monoxide in her system.
Was the door locked?
So that's what's funny is yes. So Mackenzie always shut her door at night because she had a bunny, and she was afraid that their dog would attack the bunny because the dog was kind of that kind of personality. So she always shut her door at night. And I also think she shut it for other reasons. That night, it was open. The firemen remembered specifically, and this is why this is huge. He went in and had to shut the door because he saw the flames in the foyer. Mackenzie never slept with her door open. She didn't do it. Just this night of the fire, her door's open.
And what about the windows?
They were closed. I mean, no attempt.
Closed and still nailed shut? No. Okay. So no attempt to.
Mackenzie
break them or-
didn't attempt. I mean, she was found just laying in her bed. I really believe that she was given something to knock her out for the sexual assault to happen. And then the fire was to cover it up.
Right. And then they left the door open because if it was shut and locked, it would have looked like they had trapped her in there, right? Is that what your line of thinking is?
That, but also if your door is open, that's the rule of thumb, right? Kenny was supposedly a firefighter. I'll use that very likely. He knew if you have doors open, that's the most dangerous thing you can do. That's why your kids, you want their doors shut at night.
Oh, gotcha. So it's a wall of protection.
Yeah, it helps prevent the smoke, all of that, the gases coming to you. You have a longer chance of surviving if your door is closed. That's why you want your kids, why you want to sleep with your door closed. Her door happened to be open when it's always closed, and the splash patterns go right up the stairs to her room.
And so you're saying splash patterns, and I'm thinking this is like kerosene being splashed around. Is that what you're...
Yeah, gasoline. Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about the arson investigation?
Yeah, so the arson investigator knew right away that this was an arson. So he right immediately saw the splash patterns. He knew this is not no accident, because that's what Marianne claims. She claims this fire was an accident. She claims that the dog knocked over the kerosene heater and the kerosene went up, and that because she was carrying kerosene to fill up these kerosene heaters, just where it happens to be all the splash patterns, that it would spill. So each time there'd be some spillage. So when the dog knocked it over, it then caused the fire.
That's the story.
That's the story.
When did the jump, in your opinion, when was the jump made from sexual assault to we have to cover this up by murder?
I think when she maybe wasn't waking up, I think that there, I mean, we haven't even gotten into the whole cover up of the sheriff's office at this point. It really is, I believe, more than what we know is happening sexually. I think that there's a lot more here that is going to be found out about what was actually happening.
Okay, before we get into that, I'm curious, where is the mom and her boyfriend now?
They live in Kentucky right now. So I went to Kentucky to find them, talk to them. They are well aware of what's going on. I've reached out to them. They haven't called back. They haven't talked. Marianne again says this is an accident. Okay, well then someone, if it's not, if it's an accident, explain all of this, which she can't. But if it's arson and someone obviously is trying to kill you, wouldn't you want to know who is trying to kill you? Because if you're saying you escaped too, someone's trying to kill you. But yeah, so they live in Kentucky right now.
It's officially been declared arson.
An arson, yes.
And you've said that to Marianne.
Yeah, she knows. But she says it's an accident.
No, that part about haste, that means someone was trying to kill you.
Yes, I left that in a message for her. I said, I'm sure you're concerned as well.
Yeah.
Someone was trying to kill you and Kenny, so.
Is she with Kenny still?
Oh, yeah.
That's disgusting. Wow.
What is their life like in Kentucky?
Oh, great. They have this really nice house, cars, doing their life until now that it's getting out in their community about this. Now they're hiding.
I thought you were being sarcastic when you said they had this really nice house and cars, but are you serious?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Marianne also likes to steal money.
Oh.
Yeah, she has stolen from the VFW thousands and thousands of dollars. She has this pretend charity that she also does, that she will ask people for money to help her produce like furniture and things like that when they have cancer and stuff. And then people have been complaining they don't get their items. She's
Holy shit.
she's a scammer.
You said that it's confirmed to have been arson. Does that mean that Mackenzie's death is ruled a homicide?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So
Yep.
where is the official investigation into her homicide?
Nowhere, not until now. So the sheriff, right, that I interviewed for 3 hours, and I've now put him on blast, and that is stirring a lot of emotion up here in Ohio. It's been covered by all news stations up there in Ohio. It's been in the paper. He hasn't done anything with this case. You know, he says he thinks about it every single day for 19 years, but yet he has never followed up on the sexual assault. They destroyed evidence. He told me about Marianne and the kerosene heaters as even a possibility when I asked him about that. He didn't think, well, do we have a sexual assault? Do we have an arson? Yeah, you do. I mean, he said he doesn't know if there's a sexual assault. I said, well, didn't semen was found? Yeah, but what do we know it was a sexual assault?
How old was she? It is because of her age.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And then he says, is it an arson or is it because she was careless and did the kerosene? Vernon, this was ruled an arson in 2006. Why are you even telling me Marianne's story? That's so stupid. I talked to a fire expert as well, who's been chief and all of that. And he's like, that's the most ridiculous, stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, there's no way. And there's splash patterns, it's just, and then he even said, the sheriff even said, well, Donald wants this to be a sexual assault. He actually said that on record.
I'm so confused. What was he thinking? What has he been thinking about for 19 years?
Nothing. I mean, he's on how to cover himself.
He's been thinking about it for 19 years, yet there's, like, you're not just saying it because it's your opinion, right? Like, there are splash patterns which led them to say that this is arson, that this is an official determination.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's not like the sheriff is looking at reporters saying this looks like arson. It's a document that he needs to incorporate into his case, right?
You would think.
So How is he not moving forward with an arson investigation and a sexual assault investigation?
There's nowhere else to go with it.
I'm guessing that leads us to the cover-up.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I mean, Kenny's brother-in-law was Mike Stiegel, and he was the deputy under Vernon, who's the sheriff at the time. So Kenny's brother-in-law, Mike Stiegel, was on scene in uniform, even though he wasn't supposed to be there the night of the fire. He was there. He shouldn't have been there. He was seeing everything going on. He was involved. You know, Vernon likes to tell me, oh, no, he was never involved. He stepped away. Nope, he was there. He was photographed. He was on scene. He was in uniform. He also took phone calls regarding the investigation. When the person called in to give a report about William, the brother, walking around town asking everybody about the fire and can they determine between gases, about, moving the truck. The person who took the report was no other than Mike Stiegel himself. So, it's just a huge cover up that they allowed to happen.
How is that more important than justice for an 8-year-old?
It's such a small town. I don't know. It's just you do me a favor, I do you. I mean, Mike Stiegel, Kenny was arrested in 1998 for beating his own child for wetting the bed, who was 2 years old. He was arrested in South Dakota. The officer who had taken him in threw up on the side of the road because it was so bad, the abuse. Mike Stiegel went to South Dakota and picked him up and brought Kenny back. And they said, "You're not allowed back in South Dakota, dude." Like, you go, it's just Kenny's never faced any consequences. And so here we are with a murder.
And still no consequences.
And still no consequences.
After nearly 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, her clothing was destroyed. They didn't find the sexual assault results for 6 years. But again, this is a case Vernon thinks about every day. So I asked him, why didn't you find out about the sexual assault things? Well, they never called and told us the results. Vernon, you are the sheriff. This is your case, your deputy's case. You're telling me that because they didn't call you, you just assumed it was negative? Are you that incompetent?
How long's he been the sheriff?
20 some years.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking to me. First of all, that sheriffs are in most places, I think, are elected positions.
They are, and people have tried to run against him, end up dropping out. Things happen. It's a good old. It's all of it. Yeah, but for 6 years they didn't even follow up on this to see what the results were. For 6 years, it was found by mistake, and that's because the dad started looking into it, and then he finds out the clothes were destroyed. So Mackenzie was murdered in April. They destroyed her clothes in August without knowing the results. The results came back in September that there was semen. They destroyed her clothes a month earlier.
So we don't know whose semen that was?
No. So I just found out that Kenny has never been tested.
Why hasn't he been tested?
Great question.
Who's been tested?
Just William.
Just the brother?
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen?
They got a court order. BCI got involved. And they went to Kentucky, and he wouldn't give it without a court order. So they got a court order, and then they turned it in. And what's interesting in his report, one of my listeners pointed this out. It says that William was only ruled out of the oral sample.
Oh, God, I don't want to go down this road. Do you mean the sample that was taken from her mouth?
Yeah, was ruled out. But we don't know the other two. If he is a match, do we have more than one person? Maybe he was an oral. Maybe he was the other two places.
Now, what are you doing with your investigation and the podcast? How are you shaking the apple tree in that area?
Oh, I'm shaking it all right. The Dog with a Bone is well and live. So Vernon's interview, I played it. And people in Fayette County showed up. I'm telling you, we did a petition to get this case out of Fayette County because there is no justice going to happen for Mackenzie in Fayette County with Vernon and the prosecutor. It's not going to happen. So I have received, that petition has gotten over 2,500 signatures, which is huge to get it out of Fayette County. That's one thing we've done. All of the major news stations out of Columbus have covered this case now. They've all showed up about the petition. So ABC, NBC, Fox, they all came, talked to us, the newspapers. And so just the amount of people, I just had somebody say they went and registered to vote for the first time yesterday because of this. They
Awesome.
made a
Wow.
post and was like, I've never voted a day in my life, but this case, hearing this, I took my ass down to the registers and I signed up. That's, I mean, a dream for me. Like, we're making a difference here for an 8-year-old that everyone has covered up horrific things that have happened to her. All for what? One guy, one family, political, what?
Yeah, great question.
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsor.
And a thank you to our sponsors. Back to the program. Why was there only one sample done? Not to go back to this disgusting element of the story, but if there's 3 different samples, why was only one person tested? When they know that there were multiple males at that location, why wasn't there a court order for all of these people?
Lance, Jamie wasn't tested. Kenny wasn't tested. Vernon's
Kenny with a
reason
history,
was, well,
sorry, Kenny with a history of child abuse wasn't tested.
that's what Vernon said. Mhm.
That is like, that's not only just like incompetence, it's the ultimate disrespect.
Yeah. Well, Vernon's excuse for why Jamie and them wasn't tested was because William was ruled out. So it can't be Jamie because they're brothers and they would share the same DNA. Again,
What?
That's not scientifically
What?
accurate.
What?
that's what he said.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. He's a scientist?
Yeah, I didn't even tell you guys. There's so much more. Like, they even stole Mackenzie's headstone,
Who stole Mackenzie's headstone?
Marianne and Kenny, to take it to Kentucky.
How do you steal a headstone? What did they do? Don't you need like heavy equipment, or was it just like a plate?
No, it was heavy. Kenny is a trucker, and they were able to get the headstone and took it up to Kentucky. And then I'm told the grandma, Marianne's mom, got really mad. I was like, "You're not keeping that here." Like,
Where?
they had some kind of field that was a cemetery.
Why? I'm so glad I can't get into Kenny's mindset, his headspace, because
No, I
You
know. Then
sexually
they ended up
abused her.
throwing it over the. Oh, I didn't tell you. He got a tattoo of her on his chest.
this just gets better and worse and worse. Wow.
And you know what the photo is of her on the chest? It's her burnt face.
What?
Yep. Right out over his heart. It's a photo of Mackenzie and half of her face is burnt.
Oh my God.
And the mom got her name written on her butt because she was a pain in her butt.
Well, that's hilarious. Could you please share the petition link so we can make sure to put that in the
Yes.
show notes? And I'm
Oh,
going
that
to
would be
leave this
great.
part in the episode because
Thank
I
you.
want everyone listening to sign that if they possibly can.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Yeah. What I'm working on right now and should hopefully have out today is I'm asking the commissioners to suspend Vernon, given all of this that's come out. I'm surprised they haven't yet. Suspend him until further investigation. So I am putting that on my Facebook page and giving everyone their emails to flood them with emails because they meet tomorrow morning. The fact of all the things that Vernon said bad about Donald, that he's not a nice guy and he wants it to be a sexual assault and all these things about Donald, but nothing about Marianne and nothing about Kenny shows this. He needs to be suspended and looked into.
It's all irrelevant. Donald was cleared as a person of
Yes.
interest.
Yes.
16
But he
years
focuses
ago.
on them. Yep.
Irrelevant.
Yep. He even got his DNA though. First one.
How many people vote in that county?
Well, people say he buys votes. People, one person was going to run against him and things happened and he was no longer eligible to run.
Yeah, we'd support any candidate running opposite him.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to get the commissioners to make him step down or suspend him, something. There's a lot of anger right now.
How did you find out about the tattoo?
Oh, he posted it.
He posted it on social media?
Yeah, he was showing everybody.
On Facebook?
Hmm. Yeah, and then he went to Donald. He sent it to Donald right after he got
Oh,
it done.
good. Good. Sent it to Donald. Sent him he sent him a picture of it? Like,
Yeah,
through social media or personal?
on his phone. And Mary, they thought it was sweet. Look at what Kenny did. He got Mackenzie's face tattooed on him, burnt face tattooed. He didn't even like her. He abused her. I think there's a reason. To me, it's like a trophy. Like
Like
her
he got
face
away
is
with it.
burnt. Yes. Like, why would you put that on your chest? You're not even the dad. You hated her.
Whew. How's Donald like keeping his shit together on this?
He's not, the poor guy. What I love is all the men showing up for him. There are so many men on the podcast, on the Facebook, who are like, Donald, like, dude, I was crying with you. Like, I can't imagine. And like, you're fighting for your baby girl. And
Well, what is going on right now on the podcast, and what are your next short-term goals with this story?
yeah, so right now, like I said, I'm working on the letter to the commissioners that we can hopefully launch today and get everyone to send them emails asking for a suspension. This week, I released the episode on Kenny. So I talked to a guy who Kenny dated his mom, and he abused him. So I have him on the podcast. Next week, I dive into William and Jamie Potter. So I talk to the girl he abused. I go over about Jamie being there that night. I talk about William sexually abusing them and physically. So, my goal now after that is to take it into the investigation, or the lack of investigation, as I like to say. They let them leave the crime scene without collecting their clothes. They let them take their truck. They didn't interview them right away. They allowed them to go home to another person's house for a few hours. Just the lack of, stuff that was done.
Such a tragic case. Thanks a lot for listening. Make sure to check out what Melissa is up to at her podcast, Dog with a Bone.